Everyone, thanks for stopping by. If you guys haven't heard, the 3DS eShop will close in 7 days. This means after this point, anytime you want to buy a game for the Nintendo 3DS, it's gonna have to be physical. Like, you won't be able to get these games digitally anymore. The reason why that's a huge deal for a lot of us is because if you guys don't know, physical games, especially for legacy consoles, tend to get super expensive. Just like it could be hundreds of dollars to get one game. So after this point, if you want to get some of these games physically, it's going to be insanely expensive, and your only other option would be modding. But if you're here to find out what games you want to purchase for the Nintendo 3DS before the eShop closes down, this is the video for you. Usually in my videos, especially if you look at my 3DS collection video, you know that I spend some time talking about each game individually for about like 5 minutes sometimes. In this particular video, I cannot do that because I have about 60 games to talk about, and that would be a lot. I will give like brief one-sentence descriptions, so maybe like, hey, like this game is about this. If you like this, this is for you. That's kind of what I'm gonna be going for when it comes to like reading this list off to you guys. Now, first off, I'm gonna be talking about just 3DS games that you can kind of get physically, but you probably want to consider getting on the eShop if you just can't find them physically. My number one game, because this is my favorite game on the 3DS, and also like one of my top 3 games of all time, is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. It's a really good time traveling RPG. If you're someone that really likes that old school formula for RPGs, I won't go too in depth with it because I do want to talk about this game in another video and give it its own video essentially, because I love the game that much. But for now, just my highest recommendation, and the one game I feel like anyone should get, because it is going to be like one of those like underground hits for the 3DS, is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. So definitely give that game a shot. Next game on the list, Dragon Quest VIII. This is a remake of the Dragon Quest from the PS2 era onto the 3DS, and it actually improves a lot of the things on it, and it's nice to have a Dragon Quest game, especially a very classic Dragon Quest game on the go. Definitely recommend getting that if you can. My personal favorite Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Awakening, is also on the Nintendo 3DS. Definitely try to pick up that game. I love it from start to finish. It has a great story, a great gameplay. And it was like one of the first Fire Emblems that I feel like really got mainstream appeal. So that's really cool. Mario & Luigi Dream Team is another great RPG you can get on the Nintendo 3DS. Definitely recommend that game. It's so fun, has a really nice light story. If you like the Mario & Luigi games, you know what you're getting into. Bravely Default and Bravely Second and the Lair, that's the name of the game. These two are the first Bravely games. There is a sequel, Bravely Default 2, coming out on Nintendo Switch. So if you really want to play Bravely Default and like maybe prepare yourself for Bravely Default 2, get these other two, because Bravely Second and Lair is kind of like I guess an interquel between Bravely Default 1 and 2. It's a pretty cool story. I really like both games very much. I've had a lot of fun. Some things were really hard. Loved it. Definitely recommend the Bravely series. There's a few Pokemon games on the Nintendo 3DS, right? Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Sun and Moon, but the ones I personally recommend, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. The reason for that is for me personally, X and Y was just a little too easy. While Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, while easy, actually introduced a lot of new things compared to their old versions, which is the original Ruby and Sapphire. These remakes provide a lot of value in my personal opinion. Those would be the Pokemon games I would get first. If you want to get X and Y and the rest, totally do that. But for me personally, those are the ones I recommend a little bit more. Now, moving on from RPGs, let's get into some other things. Let's go into Animal Crossing New Leaf. Definitely a game I 100% recommend. That's probably the most time I've spent on my Nintendo 3DS was on Animal Crossing New Leaf. I love New Horizons, but it still doesn't even have all the features that New Leaf has. New Leaf just feels like a complete game in my personal opinion. For me personally, it's the best Animal Crossing game besides Wild World. But that would be like the epitome of Animal Crossing for me was New Leaf. Definitely recommend getting that if you love the Animal Crossing or a similar series like that. Fantasy Life. If you love RPGs and you love these like day-to-day kind of games where it's like a slice of life, Fantasy Life is that for you. It's like an RPG with Animal Crossing elements, or maybe the other way around. It's more like Animal Crossing with RPG elements, but it's really cool. There's different classes, different outfits. You go out and get treasure for your town, then you build your town up. It's a really fun game. I love Fantasy Life. I spent a lot of time on that game too. So definitely something I recommend. Moving on to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, the 3D versions of both. Obviously, this is like some of the best games ever made. And these titles in particular for me fix so many of the issues I had with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I love both of these games, not just for all the things they fix and how they look, but also because it gives other people to experience these games in the Zelda series for the first time in a very nice and brand new way. So definitely recommend Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D. Another game I would love to mention is A Link Between Worlds. Now, A Link Between Worlds is a sequel to A Link to the Past. However, you don't really need to know anything about that first A Link to the Past to play this one. I really love this one. This is probably my second, or maybe I'll actually put it down to third or fourth favorite Zelda, because I do have a list of that. Maybe I'll do a Zelda tier list video soon. That'd be fun. Tell me if you guys want to see that in the comments below. Super Mario 3D Land, can't forget about this game. Classic Mario fun, not much to say, just, 3D Mario running and jumping, stuff like that, getting to the end, fighting Bowser, whatever. Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. This is a must buy because it's the first time that Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton kind of had a crossover on the Nintendo 3DS, and it works so well here. It was also one of the first times they used voice acting for the Phoenix Wright series, so my gosh, I definitely 100% recommend this one. I love it to death. Kirby Triple Deluxe and Kirby Planet Robo. Those are very exclusive 3DS games, and definitely get those if you possibly can, because those are some of the best Kirby games ever made. Planet Robo is probably still my favorite. Really fun game, really fun to get around. So many fun abilities with that one. I really love Planet Robo. I would give it a shot if you have the time. Kid Icarus Uprising. This is a must-buy for the Nintendo 3DS because before Sakurai went into Smash Ultimate, he was really working hard on this game. And this is one of the few games outside of Smash and Kirby that's actually directed by Sakurai himself, and it shows because there's a lot of love and care into it, and it's like basically a game that's like made for the 3DS, so definitely recommend that. Another game I would love to talk about, it's actually two of them. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and the original Luigi's Mansion remade for the Nintendo 3DS. These are really great ways to get into the Luigi's Mansion series. If you have a GameCube and you could find Luigi's Mansion, or if you already have it, then don't worry about this. But the remake of Luigi's Mansion is like actually really good on the Nintendo 3DS. And Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is a sequel to that. Which is nice because then you can play those two games and play the third one on the Switch. As far as I know up to this point, the Switch doesn't have like those first two Luigi's Mansions game available for the Switch in any way, like no remakes, no remasters, not even like a virtual console. So this is the only way you can like experience like the first two games in the Luigi's Mansion series. So I would definitely get it for this console while you can. And final game on the list is a fun one. It's Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. Now, they are making a new Rhythm Heaven for the Switch, but the reason why I like Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix for the Nintendo 3DS is because I do genuinely enjoy playing rhythm games on the Nintendo 3DS because of the touchscreen and the tapping ability. I prefer to do that as opposed to like messing around with the buttons I have on my system, because I just feel like it helps preserve the buttons a little bit more. And also because I just feel like I get a more accurate like reading on my taps as opposed to my button clicks. I just feel like rhythm games on the 3DS really work well. Either way, well, like any rhythm game you can get on the Nintendo 3DS, if it's from a good series, I'd recommend it. Now, there are a few Pokemon things I want to mention and address. Pokemon Dream Radar. If you're a big fan of the Pokemon series and maybe have a game from each generation, this is a really important one to get because it allows you to get certain Pokemon, special Pokemon in Pokemon Black and White. So it's like a mini game essentially, but this is the only time you can get it, so get it while you can. Poke Transporter is also really important because that's how you transport your Pokemon from 4th to 5th gen, which is kind of weird, but it's the way it works, and it's probably the only way you're going to be able to do that for quite some time. So I would definitely recommend getting that, so that way you can transfer your Pokemon. Another one that I 100% recommend doing if you do have this as an option is Pokemon Bank. Get this immediately. Pay the subscription through Nintendo 3DS if you can, so it's there for a whole year for you. Reason being is because that's the way you transfer Pokemon from like say Gen 6 and up, all the way to like the Switch. You're gonna have to take it out of Pokemon Bank. And if you have a Pokemon party that you've gotten with you, for me, for example, I've had Pokemon from Gen 3 all the way up to the current gen that we're currently on. I think it's Gen 9 now, which is insane. Now, one final game that's like digital on the Nintendo 3DS, but I definitely recommend getting is Pushmo. I knew I was gonna get some crap if I didn't mention that one. Pushmo's a really, really cute, fun little platformer puzzle game. I definitely recommend that game. It's so cute. Pushmo is like one of the top, like for some reason, one of the top rated games for the Nintendo 3DS. It's really good. Like, you know, I'm not gonna even dispute that. It's a really fun little cute game. So I definitely recommend Pushmo. It's almost perfect for the system. It's something that's a must buy, essentially. Now, those are all the 3DS games I recommend getting, but the virtual console is also a topic of discussion for the Nintendo 3DS, because while there is a virtual console kind of like experience for this Nintendo Switch, it's kind of tied to like a a monthly subscription or yearly subscription, which personally I don't personally like. I personally would rather just buy these games once and it's mine forever, and I never have to be connected to Wi-Fi to play them. That's the one huge downside I feel with the Nintendo Switch Online and all that stuff. So these are the games I'm gonna personally recommend that for the virtual console if you want to purchase them. And some of these can be purchased on Wii U if you have some, but I'm gonna kind of keep it 3DS focused. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm rushing through this video. I just felt like I had a lot of games to get through. If I took time to talk about every single one, this would have been a very long video. And I'm sure I'm going to talk about these games at some point or another, but please look into these games before the eShop closes down. I'll also make a video saying my goodbyes to the 3DS before it completely goes away. But in the meantime, I wanted to make this short video so that way if you guys had any games that you're like, what should I get on the 3DS before it closes down, the eShop closes down, these are the games to get. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing what games you end up purchasing. Please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear more about it. I'll talk to you later. Take care.